So, welcome back to 0 to 60, a flesh and blood podcast by three bearded blokes from Manchester who now have beards after the shave gate last week. And I'm joined by the usual two, the terrible twosome. George, Liam, we're all deflated. How are you?
Deflated, as you said.
Deflated, yeah, just to confirm.
I'm fine, thanks.
You're fine.
Whatever. He's deflated as well. He just doesn't want to admit it.
I'm not that deflated.
So, I think everyone knows we usually do anyone who listens on the reg knows we do a Vexing Malice. And I think this entire episode is going to turn into a bit of a Vexing Malice. Because obviously this week we had a huge announcement that had nothing in it. So I'm actually going to play... So to put it on the line, to know a lot of people change their opinions with these things. It's one thing that always annoyed about podcasts. I'm really upset that they didn't make a change. But
yeah, devastated.
But as I know there are others on the podcast who have the same opinion, I'm going to play devil's advocate.
No, that's a cop out.
I've put.
I didn't upset, but I'm going to play the devil's advocate.
Yeah,
so I don't have to moan as much. I meet George and Lethal bad. Get out.
I don't like people changing their opinions, so I'm going to now change my opinion.
No, my opinion is not
giving my opinion.
My opinion's not changed. I wish they had just booted Starvo where the sun don't shine until he never came back. I wish they'd taken Luminaris and drop kicked it out of the game. I wish that Sonata couldn't work with Skeletor, but we got none of that.
No, we didn't. To be fair, I don't think you need to play devil's advocate. It sounds to me like Liam actually has quite a positive spin on all of this.
No,
I don't get it.
Twisting it the other way around.
So, go on then, chaps. I'll let you guys have the floor.
So, go on, Liam. You seem to have the least extreme view on this, so why don't you begin?
Yeah, but it was more of about, like, to be honest, I kind of expected it. As much as my rant last week and I wanted changes, like, realistically, was he ever going to get them? Probably not. That was it. Like, because, like, I can't moan because it's not going to change anything.
Well, okay. Let me show you how it's done then, because.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I didn't have high hopes for them in doing it, but I thought the very minimum we were going to see was a Starvo ban. I can't believe that they've looked at the meta as it is now and decide that it's okay and that we should carry on with it the way it is. I don't get any of that. It's terrible. It's the worst flesh and blood meta I think we've been a part of so far. It's been the worst part of events. It's been playing against Starvo every other round.
I think one of the things for us is obviously we banned Starvo locally because it was just not fun. And do you know what? Since we've banned him, and we also banned Vis and Prism, because they just run Riot, and we have our little honour list. And we've had new players come in because we're not just apologising to each other or everyone just shouting, going, for God's sake, I've been Captain Planeted.
Exactly. It's a much better, healthier, nicer playing experience when you're not getting crippling crushed with Dominate every turn and then hit with a hammer. Like, it's just a much better play experience without Starvo. And sadly, we're going to keep seeing that at the top end, at least until May 2nd.
Well, I think that's the thing for me, and it's why I think Liam's opinion is going to be quite interesting on this. Is obviously we said last week we're in this kind of twilight zone of we can't really test properly because we don't know what's going to happen. And then because once we get the announcement, they'll either do something or, as it turns out, they didn't. But they kind of did do something and decided to add. Outside of how they actually handled it, they put the article up, then they changed the article 3 times because they realised they'd not put enough events on. Published it.
You mean all those
in the wrong order?
All those blitz events that Starvo was going to get points for,
Yeah, and then they added more of the battle hardened events. I think it's Krakow and got one to make sure there are enough points available. Effectively going to what it felt to me was the community going, please win enough so you can just live in Legend him and we don't have to ban him. Was how it felt to me.
Yeah, that's exactly how it felt to me as well. It just seems like they've kicked the can down the road. They're hoping the problem's going to fix itself, so they don't have to ban a hero for the first time. And Yeah, I mean, because I'm not sure they could really hit particular cards for me that would hurt Starvo enough. I think it would just be a flat Starvo ban. And I think they're just hoping that Living Legends just takes care of the problem for them, despite the fact they've told us many times now that's not what Living Legends is supposed to be.
Yeah, they've said a few times it's not a balancing mechanism. It's supposed to be almost like it's a roll call of honor. It's the Hall of Fame. It's look, these heroes have finally won enough to do something, and after the data team have had a bit of a break now, so I've worked them hard, and you can kind of see the points that everyone else is on, and it's just so patently obvious that there's that one standout hero where even Prism and Chain, who are the next best, are still several hundred points behind in spite of being out had more events total to be part of.
Yeah, I mean, what's Bravo on that? Is it 814 and Prism's
Yeah.
down on 560?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hell of a gap.
Exactly the right numbers. You've definitely looked. And
It's all-
that's where the data team have been. They've been hiding at your house.
Yeah, I've been sheltering them from you because you've abused them just too long. So.
I know, but so nearly a 300-point gap, and realistically, with the amount of events, we'd likely to see it. But they also added in a new banned and restricted, like you said, George, on the 2nd of May. Now, I don't know how other people are getting to the US. I think, what day is it we're flying out?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, is that the 11th?
It is.
It is, yes.
Which gives us 9 days.
Yes.
Yes.
Because obviously they changed the rules, and a lot of people obviously missed that it's not just at the start of a new set being released that banned and restricted comes into effect, or Living Legend. It's that or the...
So, I mean, how do you guys feel about them having one so close to a major event like that?
I mean, it's pretty shit. But, so I've seen so many different opinions on the 11-day window. I've seen, these are pro players, these are the best players in the world. These should be able to adapt and test quick enough and be ready for a tournament. And I've also seen it's just not enough time.
You see, now I think there's something that I've not really heard anyone really consider yet, and that's that actually there's not just a Pro Tour here. There's a calling as well, which is supposed to be a friendly, open event, and I don't think anyone seems to have raised the point that what if a new player is planning on going to the calling, and they've only got one hero, and that hero gets hit massively with bans 10 days before an event. How the hell is that going to impact somebody else? They may even be flying abroad to do it, or booked flights and anything else like that. They could be massively impacted by a ban and restricted that's going to drop 10 days before.
Yeah,
and then not have a deck that's playable anymore, not have have cards that are taken out of their deck and completely changes it. Now it's fine for pro players, who've got access to every card in the game, but for people who haven't got that, that's an awfully short time when they've spent money on event tickets and flights and everything else.
I mean, it's almost the thing I was thinking of is that, let's say, luckily, we've got 9 days. But let's say Starvo, Prism, or whatever Starvo gets Living Legended, and they do something about the other two decks. Because they just feel that the meta won't be appropriate or enjoyable for people. Like you say, people could be flying out before the event, and they might only have a day or two to either fight to get a deck put together if they've got the cards. But say anyone who's just got one deck.
Yeah, now like I say, anyone who's new that's going into the calling, like particularly if somebody's, let's say somebody's recently got into Flesh and Blood, they've asked what the best deck is around, been told Starvo, and they've gone away and spent the fortune that's required to actually put the cards together for that. They're looking forward.
The small house deposit.
Exactly, they're looking forward to go into their first calling event, and then 10 days beforehand, they might not be even that aware of the Living Legend system. They get told that the card's now not legal and can't be played, and they've got to put another deck together in the 9 days beforehand.
I mean, I suppose
or 11 days.
It's part of the small devil's advocate of, at least if that happens, they'd still need to rebuild the deck, but a lot of the cards they could either switch to OG, Bravo, or to Oldhim. Very different styles of play, but like I say, if it's a new player who's not got access to potentially a community who they can play with and say, has anyone got these cards just borrow? Or because there will be some differences, some key differences, but at least I think that's why I know a few people said the whole point of Living Legend is they wouldn't release a new hero. they want to release a new hero to replace it. I don't think they will with Bravo. I don't think
Well,
we've already got an Elemental Guardian.
I would say there's no need to, right? Yeah, like you say, we've already got another Elemental Guardian out there, and I really hope they won't release something to replace him.
Like a new Elemental Ranger.
I'd be down with that, but I wouldn't exactly replace.
You still play Lexi, mate.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, I think they could have handled it very differently. I think if they'd said, and they have done it before, and they say it in the article, and I'm completely fair with it, that they're still halfway through a competitive season, and they don't want that to have a new meta. They did that for, I think it was Australia, New Zealand Nats.
Yes,
because they got delayed with COVID. Absolutely fine to do that. But what they did last time with Briar is said these bans and erratas will come into effect for everyone today, except for these events.
Yeah, no, I think I remember discussing this with you when we first saw it, and like I said then, if they'd just done that, they'd have said these are the cards we're going to ban on the 2nd of May. That's when it will come into effect. Even if they just pushed it back to then, because they could have had it still be legal for all events until that point. But if they just let us know what they're going to ban on May 2nd, at least then the players for the Pro Tour and for the calling that are going out there are going to have the chance to test and be ready. Have a little bit. It's not exactly a long time. A month's not a lot of time to be ready for that. But also, people would be able to actually get the cards together for their deck if they need to, or anything like that, and we'd know what we're going into a little bit more. And I think the worst case scenario for me would be May 2nd comes round and there's actually no changes, to be perfectly honest.
And I think there's a real chance that's the case now.
Yeah,
I think they've said it's possible that if Starvo doesn't get enough points, he will be part of the meta game. Now, if they do, I don't know what they then change.
Let's say he doesn't, right? Because I think if I remember looking at it, like we said, he's on 8-15, 8-16, something along those lines. 8-14, managed to miss it. But if he doesn't Living Legend out by then, he doesn't win pretty much every event between now and then. Do we think the worst case scenario is that he is banned and just he is banned, or do we think it's that they don't touch anything and just let things go as they are?
They want a new meta, right? They stated that in the article.
They did, yes.
They wanted something fresh. So, Starvo probably goes regardless. But shit has to go with him. You can't just leave it as, let's ban Starvo. Because then we have another problem, which is Viserai. And it's the same discussion we've obviously had, which is why I said that I don't like the fact that they just didn't ban... banning Starvo as the only solution is the wrong solution. I actually think it gets worse.
Yeah, it opens up a whole can of worms, right?
Viserai is a bigger problem than Starvo is, in my opinion. It's just they're just lucky that Starvo keeps Viserai at bay.
Well, I actually disagree with you. I think at least with Viserai, they've got ridiculous combos, and whoever thought that Spellbound Creepers and Skeletor were good ideas. They've got the best equipment in the game, and that's coming from a warrior player who knows how broken courage can be. But I think there's such a feel bad around Starvo just going, there you go, there's 2 cards, a pulse and the other element, versus at least they've had to build up the rune chance, and then they have to hit off the top, because I've seen just as not. Yeah, but
the feels bad, the high roll potential, not this deck is absolutely fucking busted, which Viserai is. Which is sitting down across from Starvo. At least you don't feel like you just automatically lost. Whereas Viserai's power level could be that.
I think the worst thing for Viserai, I think if Starvo leads the meta, is that Viserai's got good game into pretty much everything at that point. It can play a very aggro game, and then it can obviously pivot to it can still beat the control decks that should beat your aggro decks, right? Oldhim's not going to stop him because Skeletor exists and OTK is possible. I think if you take that out, then all of a sudden Viserai is just a very good aggro deck and probably not got the greatest game in terms of OTK or anything like that, and got no answer for good control decks, which is fine.
Yeah, they had. It was, obviously the OTK strategy was the old one, and then it got the new tools, and that put it above chain.
Yeah, I don't think you can put that back in the box, right? I think because of the cards that we got in Everfest, Viserai went up a real step in terms of what it's got for its aggro side of things. And I just think that's out now. I'm not sure what you can do to change that.
Yeah, it's. I think they've got the genie's out of the bottle. They can't get back in, like you say. I think they have to do something. I think they have to hit all three, and then it's what comes out after that. I'd be quite happy, and that'd make. I think those couple of weeks after an expansion or a new set is when Fab's its most fun. When I remember the countless nights we were up till 3 a.m. trying to work out how to get a Starvo deck to work. And then obviously everyone else was doing that, and then we've got to the point we are now. So I think that period where things are interesting and new and people are coming up with ideas, Snapshot Lexi, or the different Starvo list, Potion Shop Starvo for those who are absolute mad lads. but that's when it's fun and it's more interactive. Whereas, it's like
Yes.
I said last week, the most heinous thing for me is at times you can go into a game and if I sat down with my Dory Dawnblade deck opposite a Prism, I might as well scoop and go and have a beer. I'll get more joy out of the beer than just going aura.
It's an absolutely unwinnable matchup at the moment, isn't it? And I think it's just the problem we've got, as we've said many times, with the meta the way it is. And that's why I just think for me this was probably the worst outcome for this banner restricted, is that we've got no change now. And then I have a feeling that the only ban they will probably make on May 2nd will be Starvo, and then we'll end up with a very bad game.
Yeah,
meta game at that point.
Yeah, I mean, we've not got video. Well, that's something we are currently looking at, dear listeners. And YouTube will be the place to see Liam currently shaking his head in despair, thinking of a meta where it's just Viserai.
I mean, do you disagree that you think that's the only thing they'll ban, Liam, or are you just dreading the idea of that being the case?
I'm dreading the idea of that's the only thing they ban.
Because I have a horrible feeling. I agree with you entirely, but I just think I have a horrible feeling that come May 2nd, if he hasn't already gone, that will probably be their choice of ban.
Well,
love to be wrong. Love to be wrong.
Is there not an argument that if out of the, let's see how many events, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 events there are, if he doesn't win the calling Taiwan, he can't have been legend.
Yes.
If he doesn't win the calling Taiwan, is the justification there that that LSS will point to as well he is beatable?
I think they might
because he hasn't won.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there will definitely be elements of the community, I'd imagine, that will try and take that stance. I think if he doesn't win the majority of the events that happen, but I'm not sure that makes it a particularly healthy meta game, just because he was beaten by Prism in 1 or 2, finals or anything like that.
But I think, Joe, what the most salient point I've not heard anyone make until you made it, George, is this doesn't just affect the pros going to the PT, our own very own Mr. PT here, but it affects the calling, and the calling is when you're going to get a lot of people. And you heard the reports from Indy. I listened to a lot of the Team Covenant guys, and Zach Bunn was saying about how it was there, and people apologised. It's just not a good look. It's not fun for people.
No. And like I say, my understanding at least was the calling is an open event. Anyone can walk in off the street and play. Obviously it's a CC event, so you need to have a deck, but it could be your very first flesh and blood, competitive tournament, maybe a big tournament or whatever. And if you walk into that and you maybe don't have a Starvo player locally or anything like that, it's going to be a very negative experience. And then if you've got players just apologising to you as well while it's happening, you're going to be wondering why this hasn't changed, why it's not gone. Particularly when you hear about the other bans, which were for heroes that weren't in such an egregious place.
Well, as a percentage, actually, they were. Again, no, the percentage of difference is just as bad as the others were. It's not actually worse because there was obviously so many points available, and there's a bit more spread. So I think looking at the data, I think Bravo got 41% of the points available. Briar was about the same percentage. Chain was actually a lot lower than that.
I'm not actually sure on the percentages there, but I think at least though that he's picked up a higher percentage of actual wins.
Yeah.
Over that period, not of necessarily wins of tournaments, but just flat wins and I think he's made up a higher percentage of top 8s and everything else. But I haven't got the exact numbers to back that up.
Well, I think a lot of it is probably Starvo's beating Starvo's, right? Because I think
that also skews the maths, right?
Well, actually, I'm not sure that's necessarily the case. I think, particularly with Chain, we saw Chain have a much greater dominance in terms of the percentage showing up in tournaments. Near the end there, he was I believe over 50% of some of the major tournaments. Now the only reason I don't think we've seen that with Starvo is because he's a much harder deck to pull together.
Yeah, like say you have to have a small house deposit to be able to buy just the 2 shields.
Yeah, we looking at you, Liam, with your full Starvo deck over there.
All right, who pulled a Valahai at the last event they went to?
Yeah, that's still sitting on the shelf, never getting used.
Yeah, but I mean, there's an interesting point there as well. Going into my usual man shakes fist at Sky, where's Fab 2.0? But we've still not actually announced Everfest Unlimited. So there's only first edition shields as well.
Because it's not coming.
I was going to say the same. I have a feeling that it's just not coming from. It's probably not coming at this point.
Which is probably the best thing. It's a good thing.
Oh, I agree, but I think there's an interesting point there around the secondary market of, I'm trying to pull together a Starvo deck. I need Stalagmite. I need Valahai, or, I'm not saying you do for those decks, but...
Yeah, but I think the only thing is that will probably change when we actually get the announcement saying there is not going to be no unlimited, right? Like, at the moment, people are still valuing cold foils
as a cold foil.
This is going to be, when this will maintain its price when the first edition comes out to some extent and it becomes rarer and everything else when the first edition runs out. But at the moment, we're expecting an unlimited. But like I say, I don't think that's coming. So maybe things will adjust a little bit once people realise that if we don't get an unlimited, maybe that will change things.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't think it's coming. The article might eventually, but I mean, obviously we've got the fact that Monarch's now out of print entirely as well, leaving us with just a solitary draft set that's currently in print. Which
only TOA.
I don't think people are rushing to go and buy Monarch Unlimited.
No, I know our local store, at least in Fanboy, had Monarch First Ed until the other week. I think they ended up stopped giving that out as prize packs.
Yeah, we cracked 4 boxes of First Ed just to do a bit of a 3-man drafting.
Yes,
That was
a fantastic draft experience.
That really was something special. But yeah, I think the overriding feeling at the moment is we're still feeling this, like we're in this twilight, not quite sure what's going on. Because if May 2nd comes around and there's a living legend or a ban, what does that do to the meta game? We don't know, because we don't know what the bans are. We don't know what is happening. So I feel sorry for players who are, at the end of the day, they're playing for 25k.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's $25,000. Not sure that is in proper money, but
enough.
It's enough. You're not exactly going to turn your nose up at it, but
you say that, mate. We're flying out for the calling, in which there's a significant, a 10k prize pool or something like that. It's a significant value as well.
I think when you've got this level of organised play in place, and people are genuinely trying to, people want to go pro at this and see if they can actually make a living playing Fab. People want to do. People really want to put their effort in because there's a lot on the line for it. And I think treating people like that, I know it is a game, and it is their game at the end of the day, but I think there's a way of dealing with people that I think they're just missing the mark on slightly with the communication.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I was surprised to see Monarch officially go out of print. I thought they were maybe going to try and keep 2 sets, kind of at least officially in print, even if they're not printing more and it's not selling. To keep 2 draft sets anyway in print, but it looks like that's not going to be the case. So I guess we'll just wait till May and then until June rather when we get the next set, and then by that point, who knows? TOA probably will be officially OOP as well.
Well, it makes me think that are they OOP because they didn't actually release a proper breakdown of the. There's a big announcement for WTR and ARC going out of print. This was just on the collector's page update, so it is public, but it wasn't like hidden information. But it wasn't an article like there was before. But yeah, I think it's really interesting that if they then out of print TOA, I can imagine they're very quickly out of print Everfest.
Yeah, you'd imagine so.
It's almost setting up for the point of these old sets. You can't buy. Well, you can still buy them in stores. We're not printing anymore. This is how Fab's going to work. Whenever we find out how that'll be, and as I continue, I will die on that hill, saying that a New Zealand month is getting more like a normal millennia.
It's getting progressively longer.
Yeah. I'm literally having to look at. I think after because I've gone for millennia this week, I'll think it'll be Eon next. So
in 2 weeks' time, when we're recording again,
yeah, we still won't have heard. We can guarantee it. But
you're gonna be chasing down James White in person at the first Pro Tour, demanding.
We'll be at the calling, mate. I'll be a strongly worded letter. Well, that's if I'm not still playing Sorcery at that point, which I have to say I very much enjoyed.
You had to do it. You had to do it.
Of course he did. Of course.
I put that comment on the official Flesh and Blood page of I'm looking forward to another boring month of Starvo. I'm going to go and play Sorcery on TTS. # no regrets.
So mature.
Oh goodness.
But no, I think I think everyone's still looking forward to going to the US and the call-in and the PT, getting our lovely Yorick, maybe getting this new Taylor hero, which we've still not seen what it actually does yet, except for it's a shapeshifter.
There's some beautiful tunic sleeves as well.
Beautiful tunic sleeves, but I think it's probably not my excitement now. From 11 out of 10 to a 9 is what I'd say the announcement did.
I think the only saving grace on that one for me is, I'm still looking forward to the trip. Obviously, it's going to be fantastic and just great to go out there with all of us traveling out there together. But if the ban is restricted comes on the 2nd of May and we're in the same position now and it stays the same, then I think I would be genuinely gutted that they're not changing the meta at all. Now, it sounds from their wording that no matter what happens, they're determined that the Pro Tour is going to be different, and I don't think they want to see just Starvo against Starvo constantly. At least let's hope not. So I'm hoping it will change from that wording, but if it doesn't, I think that'd be the worst case scenario.
I mean, I guess it's a question, right, Mr. PT? If the meta doesn't change and it stays as Starvo, do you end up just taking Starvo because it's the best deck? Without really revealing all the secret spice.
I mean, there is no secret spice, right? Because it could just die out before depending on what the bans is. Do I take Starvo?
No, I was saying, if there's no bans, there's no restrictions, everything is...
No living legend.
No living legends. Just same it is now.
I'm going to be that guy. No.
You stand by your principles.
I won't take it. I don't think I'll take Starvo. Not because I think it's not the best deck, but that I don't want to. Because I don't know. Like, I feel even though Michael Hampton's deck was more of a control Starvo base, right, with a sideboard package of your staunch responses, your turn timbers, your defense reactions. It's less about doggo. Sorry.
Yes, this is George's second podcast today.
So yeah, even though it's less based on Captain Planet and hitting percentages, do I want to leave my chances at winning a tournament based on percentages and losing games and winning games that isn't based off my own skills? I suppose is kind of does it affect my egos? Maybe not. I don't know. Kind of a weird one. I think I would be taking something else. I think something that's more in my control and based off me as a player rather than hitting 64% chances of Captain Planning.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people call me fucking crazy, but what would I take? I would fine-tune Viserai.
Well, you enjoyed Levia so much at the Armory on Tuesday. I thought you'd be playing that.
So I'm just ignoring that comment.
No,
I played Levia at the Armory.
If you don't take Levia to the Pro Tour, how are you going to play Reckless Swing?
I'm not playing that bad card. I am never playing Levia again.
So
the only way you would make me play Levia at the PT would be to give me the prize money in cash and give me a PCI. And then I'll take it. Any other reason? No.
But we all so recently at our army, like I said, we banned several heroes, but we've also been swapping decks. So I had a lovely time on Katsu for the first time ever. George has experimented with some Dory times.
Oh yes, and some Katsu the week before that as well.
Katsu the week before that. So and good old Liam got lumbered with Levia, and he absolutely bloody loved it.
Lombard, he offered, he jumped on the opportunity. The moment Adam offered it to you the week before, you were like, "Yeah, I'll play Levia. I'll play anything."
Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, I'll fucking play anything." Guess what? Never playing Levia again.
Like, is that all playing old man?
I'd rather play old man. I'd rather play anything. It was awful.
Didn't enjoy Dying to Blood Debt? No.
I didn't enjoy playing it at all. It was just bad. Like, why would anyone go through that? Why would you put yourself through the pain of playing Levia? I don't get it.
We need to find a big Levia main to just come and put you in your place, tell you why Levia is absolutely awesome.
I mean,
we just have to have a good, a local Levia player, Adam, come on and.
They're entitled to his opinion, but doesn't mean it's right.
Well, I think to be fair, I think we said last time we should get him on to defend his honour after you besmirched him with his
90 block skull cap. That number gets bigger every episode as well. Yeah. It's great.
He was very upset with you after you said that last time, but we live and learn. He'll just slap you on the flight.
It's a good job you can have some banter in it.
Yeah, maybe draw a moustache on you on the flight while you sleep.
You don't think me sleep?
Oh yes. Well, no,
wrong person.
Well, you won't have Elden Ring to play on.
I will. I'll just go buy one of them really expensive things the footballers have and play on the plane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, I think this week that's really all that there was that's happened. It's been a slow fortnight. There's been no events. There were some skirmishes, I think.
Yeah, so I was going to say that there's been some skirmishes going on, hasn't there? But I think we've all got a bit burnt out on Blitz recently, and after having the battle hardened, I don't think any of us were that desperate to go and play some more.
I mean, I've never even played any.
Oh yeah, you had obviously the battle hardened, didn't you? And
I've not played skirmish, right?
But no, I mean, I played the one skirmish event,
and very kindly gave me one of the cold foil coppers for my Kasai deck.
Oh yes,
it's still very appreciated.
Nice man, George.
Someone's got to use it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm still holding out for a Kasai adult hero at some point, but again, I might be waiting for that one for a while.
Yeah.
But no, gents, I think a pleasure as always to have a chat with you on our podcast, episode 5. I can't believe we made it this far.
It's a miracle, but yes.
Right, well, thank you very much for listening, folks, and thank you, Liam. Thank you, George.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And we shall catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.